Huckleberry Finn, chapter 10 through 17. Chapter, Huck goes on to ask Jim about the dead man, but Jim tells Huck that it's bad luck to think about it. Huck caused bad luck when he touched the snakeskin, and then it comes back when Huck tries to prank Jim by setting a rattlesnake by his feet when he's sleeping, but then another rattlesnake comes in and bites Jim. Jim has to stay put for a little bit, so then he could heal, and he sends Huck out to the mainland to go gather information. He disguises Huck as a girl so that no one can recognize him. When Huck arrives to the mainland, he finds this 40-year-old woman who looks like a newcomer. This relieves pressure off of Huck because the newcomer will probably not recognize him. However, he still needs to go maintain his girl impression. Chapter 11. The woman lets Huck enter her shack but keeps a close eye on him. Huck starts off by introducing himself as Sarah Williams. They start off chatting until the woman brings up Huck's murder. She says how Huck's father, Pap, is a suspect for the murder, and Jim, who ran away the same day Huck was killed. Pap ended up leaving town, so then he couldn't be arrested or lynched for the murder, and the judge set a $200 reward on whoever could find him. The woman mentions how she saw smoke over Jackson's Island the other day. Her husband and a man is going there later that day to inspect the place and look for him. When Huck gets back to the island, he sets up a decoy fire and leaves the island with Jim. Chapter 12. Huck and Jim ended up building a wigwam on their raft, which is a dome-shaped hut that Native Americans use for the most part. They built one since they knew that they would be spending some days traveling on the water. They traveled during the night so nobody would see them. They would buy, steal, or hunt food whenever they needed it. One night, they came across a steamboat that was wrecked. Huck climbed aboard to steal goods from the boat, but he realizes that there are other thieves on the boat. Huck tells Jim to cut the rope attached to the thieves' boat so they cannot escape, but that is when Jim realizes that their boat's rope has been cut and is nowhere to be found.
Chapter 13, Jim and Huck steal the robbers' boat after the crash. The robbers put their stuff in the boat, but leave to take money from one of the victims. Huck feels bad for leaving the robbers, so he goes ashore to get some help. There, Huck finds a ferry watchman. Huck makes up a story about his family got in a wreck and asks that the watchman could go help them. Huck then sinks the robber's boat and goes to sleep. In Chapter 14, Huck finds many items while he goes through the robbers' things. Huck reads books to Jim about adventures that Jim does not like. So Huck reads him books about kings. Jim has only heard of King Solomon, who kills babies. Huck tells Jim about the son of Louis XVI of France, who is rumored to be wandering America. Jim believes that the French speak English, and Jim and Huck get into an argument about it, and Huck wins. In Chapter 15, Jim and Huck finally make it to the Ohio River. When Huck was in a canoe, he gets separated from Jim, who is in the raft. When Huck returns to the raft, he finds Jim sleeping. Jim wakes up and is very happy to see Huck because he thought that he died. Huck convinces Jim that Huck getting separated from him was a dream. Then Jim notices that what the raft has collected while he was drifting and gets really mad at Huck. Huck apologizes but does not regret it.
Okay, so in the beginning of chapter 16, Jim tells Huck that he's the only one he can trust. Huck encounters men on a boat, and they want to check the raft for escaped slaves. Huck lies about the family's condition of smallpox to protect Jim. He thinks he's in the wrong because he is keeping Jim a secret, but he would also feel wrong if he gave Jim to the men. After stopping for the night, they realize that their canoes have been stolen. Later, a steamboat collides with the raft. Huck and Jim are separated, but once Huck is ashore, he is cornered by a pack of dogs. Chapter 17. Once the dogs are called off, the man who called off the dogs invites Huck to his house. There he introduces himself as George Jackson. He meets Buck, a boy similar to his age. Buck gives Huck clothes, and he tells a riddle to Huck, but Huck does not understand riddles. And after staying with them, Huck thinks that life cannot be better.
In Chapter 10, Huck plays a joke on Jim by putting a dead rattlesnake in his bed. Jim gets bit in the heel and gets really sick for 4 days. In Chapter 15, Huck gets separated from Jim when Huck was in a canoe and the raft drifted away. Jim could have been caught in this time when it was vulnerable to any robbery. In Chapter 16, Huck feels guilty for helping Jim escape from Miss Watson after all she has done for Huck. Huck was about to give up Jim until Jim tells Huck that he is his only friend. A group of men come and want to search the boat for slaves, but Huck convinces them not to. He goes back and forth about giving Jim up.
The symbol from chapters 10 through 17 in Huckleberry Finn is the Mississippi River. The river helps resemble freedom to Huck and Jim. Jim is free from slavery and won't be sold. Huck is free from his abusive father. Even though they are free, they encounter thieves on the river and lose their boat, but eventually get it back to have it destroyed.
So for the characters, Miss Judith Lothis, she's intelligent because she picked up on Huck's tendencies and she knew that he was a boy. And then Buck was raised by a more wealthy family and tells Huck riddles. So the theme for the chapters was loyalty. Huck proves his loyalty to Jim right after Jim trusted Huck with the men on the boat.